Hi, I'm Anthony from bestbluesguitarlessonsonline.com, and in this video we will look at what to practice next after you learn the minor pentatonic scale. And a lot of people learn this scale just to find themselves stuck in a rut by just playing it up and down forever. And we want to look at today how to fix this and what the next step is after you learned this essential scale. And of course this is a very broad topic because there are plenty of things to learn after you learned the scale position. But today we will zoom in on three very important things to focus on once you learn this scale to apply specifically on this scale. And once you learn this scale, the first thing you want to be doing is to phrase with it. And phrasing is a very important topic in guitar studies. We want to be able to make this scale sound like music. So the word phrasing comes from the French word une phrase, and it basically means that we want to build sentences with our notes. And instead of playing rudimentary scale patterns, we want to pick out a few notes and learn to phrase with it. And to do so, we can use certain backing tracks. I used the loop pedal to create my own backing track, and I will let it play in just a moment. It's just an A minor chord, D minor chord, and E minor chord in open position that I recorded on the loop pedal in a 12-bar structure. And I will play this, and you will see that I will only select some notes out of the scale. And I encourage you to do the same once you learn the scale position. Don't submit yourself to the full position, but only restrict yourself to 4 notes. For instance, here on the G string we have the 5th and the 7th fret, the D, C and the D note, that is. And on the B string we have the 5th and the 8th fret we will use here, which is the E note and the G note. So here's an example. So instead of just playing rudimentary scale patterns up and down, which is cool to develop your technique up to a certain point, but you won't benefit that much until you also start phrasing, your phrasing journey. And this is essentially what I'm doing here. I'm selecting those 4 notes, improvising with them by adding slides, hammer-ons, bendings, vibrato. So it's based to learn these techniques and to experiment with them, and it's not on the scope of this exact lesson on how to approach all the techniques. You can find other videos here on the channel if you want on for instance the vibrato technique or the bending technique on how to approach this. But what is essential to learn is where the hotspots are, where you can apply these techniques on. So for example, here on the G string and this first scale position, we can bend this note over here. And then the second note that is really commonly bent is here the B string 8th fret. And you can experiment with those techniques to further your phrasing journey, so to speak. So a second thing to start delving into once you learn the minor pentatonic scale is to develop other areas of the guitar fretboard. And I will play now the 4 notes that I played here, but on another position of the fretboard. I will play the C and D note over here on the B string instead of the G string. And I will play the E and the G note here on the high E string instead of the B string. So we are over here somewhere around the 12th fret, and if you know already your positions of the minor pentatonic scale, you know this is in the A minor pentatonic scale, the 4th position, but don't worry if you don't know these positions yet. We will only select those 4 notes. So once I start improvising with those 4 notes as an example, you will see there are many more opportunities that we have. There are other opportunities, let's say it like that, than in the minor pentatonic scale position 1. So if we play the notes over here, for instance, I have this this blues lick, and it's one of the most played blues licks in the history of the blues. It even has a name. It's the train whistle blues lick, because it sounds like a passing train, and you can play it by just fingering this double stop. We play the middle finger on the 13th fret on the B string, and then the high E string is fretted with our index finger. And then we can also bend up the strings a little bit just to make it sound a little bit more harsher. It adds to the bluesiness of the tone. We can use this in a lot of places in blues music, but also in other styles. So it pays to learn other scale positions, but to also learn which licks are to be found in what scale position. So this is crucial here. And so on. And you can see that I'm bending the same notes as we were bending here. So we can bend the D note as we did here. We can bend it over here at the B string as well. And then the B string, we were bending it over here at the G note. We can do the bend technique also over here on the high E string. It's the same note, it's the G note over here. And of course we can play also the A note or even other parts of the scale position, but don't make it too hard for yourself by using the full position, because it's much harder to use 12 notes and to phrase them in a way that sounds well. It's much better to restrict yourself to 3 or 4 notes and try to phrase with those notes first. So to recap, there are 3 essential things you want to be learning if you covered the minor pentatonic scale 1st position. At first, we want to delve into phrasing. Secondly, we want to learn the techniques behind phrasing techniques like slides, bends, and where to apply them in our scale position. And third, we want to learn also licks that we can play in those positions. And many people do this the wrong way. They first start learning licks, but then it's disconnected to your overall guitar knowledge and where to play it on the neck. But once you learned about scale positions and where to play them on the neck, then we can really learn essential blues licks like the train whistle blues lick we just covered a minute ago. I hope you like this lesson. Subscribe to the channel if you do, and leave a comment if you want. Also check out the website at bestbluesguitarlessonsonline.com, where you can find free resources like a fully downloadable guide for free on the topic of how to play more advanced blues guitar solos.